How you doing, Russell?
Hey Jamal, how are you, man?
Pretty good.
Feeling good?
Okay. Russell, rarely do you see a movie and it inspires you to want to be like that character. This movie reminds me a little of Rocky and Cinderella Man, making you want to be a boxer or something. But this time makes you want to be a journalist. And I left the movie like, man, being a journalist is cool. Didn't realize that I am a journalist, and here I am. But I first wanted to start with that.
What was in your popcorn, man?
So, but one thing I like about you, Russell, is that it always seems, I hope all actors read their scripts, but you always seem to like pick great scripts and great directors. Is there a particular element in the scripts that you look for, and is there something in this movie, State of Play, that made you say, I really want to do this movie?
Well, I have this thing, man, that, whether I'm predisposed to do a particular gig or not, that if I read the script and I have a physical reaction to it, I get goosebumps, if I get excited by it, then I have to do that. I have to respect the gods who look after people who make films, and, if I get affected by it, then it's my job to do that,
Right.
And I seriously didn't want to do this movie. I'd just come off another movie. I'd just gotten home to Australia. I only just got to be with my family after being away for a long time. And the whole idea of it, of me doing it came up, and it's just a little short time before Christmas. And I was looking at, I thought, 4 or 5 months at home, summertime in Australia, and I really didn't want to do it.
Right.
And I read it, and there was a sequence in the film where it just hit me, and I got the goosebumps, and I just went, okay, let's go and do it,
Yeah.
And I think it's really important. There's some aspects of this film which are quite important, the sort of, the pervading point of this movie is that we've corrupted journalism. We've corrupted the way we get our information. We've corrupted our politicians, and we've corrupted our sports stars, and we've corrupted our entertainers who used to make us sit back and really rethink something, because they would tell us the truth. They would tell us the truth of their passions.
Right.
But now to do that is very dangerous, and I know this personally myself. Just the other day, I don't know if you've ever seen it, man, but go on YouTube. There's an English interviewer called Michael Parkinson, right?
Right.
And he's interviewing Ali in the early 70s. And it's prior to, I think, the second Foreman fight, right? And he touches a nerve with Ali, right? And Ali just goes for him, man. He absolutely goes for him. And you would never, ever see anybody do that today, from an intellectual perspective, to say, no, what you're trying to do is twist me around, but I'm not that guy, I'm this guy, and he was just magnificent. And I'd forgotten about it completely, but I remember I saw that when I was a kid. And that really sparked me, and that was an inspiration. But when have you seen lately, just tell me the person that you've seen actually go on any TV show and actually talk with a burning passion about something. Because if you do, you're just going to get snuffed out, man.
Right.
So it's a weird thing that we've done. We've got all this great technology which allows us to communicate, but what we say has become less and less. It's become trivial.
I know you got shot at last night, and I know I should be making you a nice cup of cocoa, but I'm just so bloody angry. I mean, the decision, I'm assuming, was that this was not news.
We didn't. We were worried that we were
It was
going
my
to
call, Ken. All right? I didn't, and I don't believe her. She's not credible. She was just trying to sell us her sexy scrapbook photos of her friend Sonia Baker. Her dead friend.
Yeah, well, why the hell couldn't we have printed that? A waitress comes forward with a claim about a sex scandal. Great, that's an A1 story. Then he denies it. There's another story, and then one of them cracks, and there's another story. Meantime, people are reading about it, and they're reading us about it because we had it first. That we didn't, did we? Oh, no. Someone decided it was beneath us.
Look at her! Come on, look at her! She's a sideshow! The true story here, the real story here, is Point Corps.
The real story is the sinking of this bloody newspaper!
All right, one question I wanted to ask is, recently the Seattle Post closed here in America, and I know in Australia the Bulletin as well as the Marketplace closed over a year ago. This movie touches on the battle between new media versus old media. Do you think that the papers and traditional media are just having a problem adapting to new media, or is it just that it's being phased out just because of the times?
Well, I think that there's a sort of crisis in serious news, but it's a crisis that is of its own making. I think for probably at least a couple of decades, we've tried to wrap news up in a more palatable form. We've tried to make it have flashy lights, and and we've crossed that boundary, or we've blurred the line between entertainment and news. We've even got the naked news, haven't we? We've got all these various variations on how you're actually fed news, and it's the same with politics and journalism as well. We've blurred that line as well, and that's one of the things I was talking about. People don't really say what they feel. They say what they think people want them to say, or they say something that is bulletproof, that can't be actually undermined, because quite a large majority of news services spend their day going, okay, well, what he said sounded good. Let's find a way to muck that stuff up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's find a way to make that full of holes.
Right.
And when you're in the public eye and you realise that's what's going to happen. See, here's the thing: is you and I can have this conversation. This can go on TV. Somebody watching that can go, hey man, what he just said then, I can twist that. Right. And it ends up in some other magazine, with you as a source, but an unnamed source. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's this thing that's been going on, and tabloid magazines print rubbish, but because it's been printed somewhere else, then a quote unquote credible news source reruns that as a story, because, without naming their source necessarily.
Right.
But, they feel they're going to be protected. Legally, even if what they're saying is complete bull, they're going to be protected because it has been printed somewhere else. Right. So, I think that there's a version of sort of journalistic cannibalism going on. You know what I mean?
Yes.
People say they want one thing, but in fact, journalists, news services have been providing something else for such a long time, and now they're finding their own tail being eaten, because people no longer believe it,
Right.
That thing that, people don't believe what's in a newspaper is actually becoming true, and that's really sad, man. We should be able to pick up, where the major newspaper of any city that you happen to live in, and know that the people that write for that newspaper have actually done the work, and they have not put it in that newspaper until they're absolutely sure that what they're saying is true and real, and that's what you should be, that's what you should be able to expect from a newspaper. That's what I think.
Thank you, Russell. Take care, man.
Cool, man. Have a great day.
You too.